Uh, hey, thanks for stopping in to We Called It. Coming off maybe the best football weekend there's been. I don't think any weekend has had as many good games in such a high leverage situation. So excited to be here and talk about it all. I'm joined as always with Connor Lucas. How you doing, Connor?
Fantastic, Phil. I am so excited.
I
So
can
excited.
I can just
Here.
hear it in your voice. Doesn't sound half asleep at all. And Dr. Kenneth Call. How you doing, Ken?
Hey guys, thanks for once again inviting me back.
Ken, you are now promoted to semi-permanent resident
Yeah,
here.
we're not inviting you back. Okay, we're done with that.
No,
You're in
no,
your
no, no.
first show.
I've been getting invitations from Phil weekly.
Hey, by the way, I'm going to let you know you're back. Okay, all right. Listen, if you're listening at all, if not invite. He's back on the show. Tell us you hate him. That's fine, but he's on the show.
Well,
Evan was demoted to invite-only status now because of you.
Evan was in the group chat so much that I actually saved his name under Phil's friend Evan in my phone. I thought, okay, all right.
All right, I just want to say to all listeners and Ken, when you get a PhD in astrophysics, you know, then you can start making fun of Evan for not showing up. But he's in his last semester, so he's like actually writing his dissertation. Kind of busy.
Whatever.
All right.
Whatever.
So looks like this week we're all going to be putting on, except for Ken maybe, our Joe Burrow buttons. I honestly think we should start making those, and that should be our company's thing. We sell buttons endorsing people.
What type of button were you talking about? You weren't talking about like a soundboard button that says "I believe in Joe Burrow."
Oh, like literally, well, we could do that, but literally, like a button that was like in Batman, The Dark Knight, that says "I believe in Harvey Dent." It'd be "I believe."
Oh, okay. You're talking about a physical button.
I can make you guys. I can make you
I haven't
guys.
seen one since fourth grade, so I was really confused.
Yeah, well, you're clearly gonna have to do it. I'm gonna send them to your house next week, and you're gonna put it right here. I believe in Joe Burrow. Because guess what? Joe Burrow is going to cover this. He may not win, but he's gonna cover.
All right, so there's Connor already endorsing his pick. I will also be endorsing my underdog Super Bowl pick once again. Before we get into that, though, please like and subscribe, follow, ask us questions, just like this listener did. Nate Schmidt, once again, coming in. He's our number one viewer. He'll be easy to beat. He has 3 daughters, so he doesn't have a lot of time to listen. So if you can come out and reach out to us, you can get promoted to top listener, I guess. Anyways, his question actually is pretty much for Ken. So he said, I didn't watch the Titans much this year, but seemed like Henry wasn't healthy against the Bengals. What percentage of Derrick Henry was out there this week? And if he was healthy, does that change the outcome of the game? So Ken, you go with the percentage of health, and then we can all share our thoughts on if Cincinnati should have lost.
So just anybody coming back from an injury where they're out for an extended period of time, even 4-6 weeks, he was out 8 weeks. And with that, I mean, anyone just coming back their first week, they're going to have rust. Nobody's at 100% when they come back from any of these extended, but especially the first game back, they gave him 20 carries, and if you saw, it was nowhere 100%. And in terms, and the big thing with Derrick Henry, I was listening, like third and fourth down and 1 to go, he is on his career a 78%
Conversion.
conversion rate there. And I mean, that's not that fantastic, period. He's not somebody who is explosive right off the bat. Like, he needs to pick up speed. He's that third line, like, accelerator. And that's really where you make money with him. He did not have that. He had a few runs of like 7-8 yards that looked pretty good, but that was that first line, that first explosion. He never got to that second that really, puts him in a league of his own in terms of running backs. I had to put a percentage at it. That one was never going to get there. I wouldn't expect that from anybody coming that quickly, but the fact that they gave him 20 carries is crazy. especially with how he was looking. They're giving it to him on their last drive. I would probably put him at 40%.
Ooh,
I think 40% of Derrick Henry.
All right. So now Connor.
You're not a doctor anymore. If I see you, Derrick Henry, and I raise you Cam Akers.
Now, okay, I'd love to talk about Cam Akers. This guy is phenomenal at what he's doing. And his first week back, yes, an extended one. In terms of like just coming back, 8 weeks is closer to 6 months than it is a 1 to 2 week injury. In terms of recovery and your expectation, his first week back, he got it was 3 or 5 carries, and that's exactly how it should have been. And they're doing way too much with him now. But at the same time, he's nowhere near his 100% on what of being back week 3 or 4.
Whatever the playoffs is. Yeah, 3. 4, technically 4 because he got those 5 carries.
So I was going to say, now, Connor, from your perspective as an athlete, I know you played college football. Ken, you played high school football. I don't know. I guess you had your hernia senior year, so I don't know if this would apply to you.
Thank you for bringing that up.
No problem.
Appreciate
well, no,
it.
no. So I know you tried to play at some point, right?
Yeah.
So would you be allowed to play? Obviously, it's different for both of you. Would you be allowed to play if you weren't like in a good status? Like, why was Derrick Henry out there getting 20 carries if they weren't confident in him?
Who are you speaking to?
Both of you. I guess this could be more specific knowledge for you in terms of like actually being on the field and playing your stars or your best players in the most important games.
I'm going to address the question that you asked Ken, which is Nate's question, because I'm smarter than Ken. But I think he was at like 60, maybe 70%.
That's what I would book him at.
I say that because the injury that he had, which I don't know much about, Ken, I will defer to you, sir, the injury or whatever. But
Sir Dr. Ken.
He had a plate in the bottom of his shoe, and it was impeding his movement. So right there, you're going to lose a lot. Basically, it's like the deflection, pushing off of the toe. So he's going to be running heel a lot. But the thing about like Ken's point, he's a downhill runner, and he's not going to hit that second speed, third speed, whatever. So for him, I don't think they ever had any plans of him doing anything other than what he did. I don't think he deserved 20 carries. But at the same time, I think his role would be, okay, this is the playoffs. This isn't the Jaguars that we play twice a year or whatever it is. And I think that they almost calculated it that going to get up to that second level because they're going to be loading the box. And I think that they actually knew that the Bengals were going to box. So they were like, hey, let's just ground and pound. And is that the smartest game plan? No. I think they probably should have went with Foreman, and they should have. Foreman ran pretty well.
He had 4 carries for 66 yards. That was going to be my next point. With the I would say with the healthy Derrick Henry, his 45-yard play is a touchdown. Complete game changer.
So that's my point. My point is, like, I think they should have supplemented them more. I think the ground and pound plays, but money talks in the NFL. Stardom talks in the NFL. Because if they didn't play him and he was somewhat healthy, they're going to hear it from their fan base. They're going to hear it from the coaching staff's going to have to answer questions. And so to your next point, which is, have you ever been through injuries like that? What was it like? Did you play at less than 100%? Yeah, I mean, I played multiple games in college. If you remember, Phil, I had both my ankles redone in college. One was my junior year where I blew it out completely. So, Dr. Ken, you can tell us the 4 ligaments that you have apparently, or probably more, are holding your ankle together. Well, I tore 3 out of 4 completely. Because you remember JT Barrett getting rolled up like 5 years ago against Michigan? That happened to me. Or I didn't break anything. I just tore all the ligaments out. So That one was complete ruptures of, they said 3, or was it partially torn? I don't know. Anyways, I was done. But I did play a full season, almost a full season with like a low ankle sprain, which we just taped the crap out of. And for me, it was a little bit harder too for the first couple weeks until kind of it was just plateaued and it just wasn't going to get better because I kept re-spraining it. We just kept retaping it. It's a little bit different for me because I'm a lateral athlete. So for me, cutting back and forth, okay, that's not great. Derrick Henry, you guys know that dude ain't making anybody miss. So he's just going to try and truck you. And that is why if this was Aaron Sproles, if this was Cam Akers, if this was
CMC.
But yeah, literally people that sit and their game is based off of agility, I think you almost did. Answer your question about it changing the outcome of the game. Oh, Brian Tannehill threw 3 interceptions. I think that says it right there.
So real quick, just to like kind of go back to it. When I say 40%, I'm talking about how much production that like gets. Nobody is ever gonna let anyone play at less than 70%.
Okay.
The bare minimum to actually play is 70%.
Okay.
So yes, that number I agree with. But my whole thing is Derrick Henry clearly not going to have what made him special. And I mean, I just think Donson Foreman did a great job replacing him during the year. I really think that in the end of the third, definitely the fourth quarter, he's in and Derrick Henry isn't. I definitely think the outcome could have been different. There's so many variables at that point, but now you're talking about getting fourth down conversions and how do teams play off of that. Hard to say. I don't want to take anything away from Burrow, but that really, I really disliked Derrick Henry. I love Derrick.
Yeah. I think my main takeaway from that game is the spread was what? About 3.5. And realistically, a spread like that says the teams are even. It's home field advantage that determines the difference. And I think realistically, I don't think I changed that at all based on the game I saw on Sunday or Saturday. But if Derrick Henry was 100% healthy, I think it would be an extra point or two in terms of favoring the Titans. So they'd probably be about a 5-point favorite in my mind with a healthy Derrick Henry.
Can you debunk something for me real quick?
Go ahead.
What is the historical home field advantage?
3 points.
Tell me give me a stat. What's the stat? Is it
Home
really
teams
3 points?
win like 56 or 57% of the time.
Really?
Yep.
Outright win.
Outright win, yes.
Hold on. I want to see it right now.
No, there's it's been trending downwards in recent years, but it obviously differs by team. Like the Rams have much less a home field advantage, so do the Chargers. But on average, it's literally about 3 points. So if you ever see a spread of 3, then it's like, okay, these teams are even. Whoever's at home is getting the benefit of the doubt, pretty much. It might be about 2.5 now, but same idea. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get into the games. Starting off first with the Sunday afternoon game, Cincinnati versus Kansas City. Connor, do you want to endorse Mr. Joe Burrow for AFC champion?
There's nothing to even say except for that he's not going to win the game. He's just going to cover. That's the only thing to say because Joe Burrow has no offensive line. There is 0 chance. There is like negative chance that he wins if he give up something like 5 sacks. Why do I feel like 5 sacks is the number? Because I think it's like 1 per quarter you could maybe get over. Why? Because it may be 1 drive killer. You can't kill 2 drives with sacks.
Yeah.
You can't kill 2 drives and go backwards. I think you get on average like 8 drives a game. you might have a sack late in downs that may kill one of those drives, like a third down, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 4, whatever, that just guts a drive. You can do that maybe once, maybe twice. 9 times, you should lose the ball game.
You sound like Edward Rooney. 9 times.
I mean, it was shocking. They set one of the worst records ever. They're proud. Now, watch, the universe is going to say, hey, we got in our offensive linemen's tails this weekend. They're going to be great, and they're going to give up no sacks.
So, Connor, in your opinion, what is more detrimental to it? 9 sacks or 3 interceptions? One being on your last drive in a tie game. No, but really, 3 interceptions or 9 sacks?
3 interceptions.
I agree.
That is the only one of the only kickers. That's the only kryptonite to that theory, basically. Turning the ball over. About it. That is truly it. Penalties don't even do that for you because you at least keep the down most of the time. So you keep the down. You might go 2nd 10 to 2nd 20, but it's still 2nd down. Sacks go 2nd to 3rd, and like immediately. So you lost the play. So that is about the only way that happens. And 9 sacks, probably, if you pulled up the stats, probably half of those resulted in punts, but it's just insane to me that they just kept turning the ball back over. So you had manufactured drives for the Bengals because Tannehill couldn't do it because he turned the first one over 3 points within the first 90 seconds of the game, and you came out with the ball. So now you don't get the second half benefit, or Cincinnati gets the second half benefit. You gave them 3 points right off the bat that they shouldn't have had. So the chances of that happening are 0. And so that's why Mahomes may have 1 interception, may get 1 of those. But he also can score in 13 seconds. He can manufacture his own extra drives. Tannehill can't do that.
All right.
Point blank, period.
All right, so just to build on what you were saying real quick, the reason this game is like 7 points to me is because Joe Burrow is statuesque in the pocket. It's like the only flaw I can have in his game. Last week,
he can do it a little bit. He can maneuver the pocket.
He can maneuver the pocket, but when you have players like Patrick Mahomes on the other side, who regularly was turning a sack into a 5+ yard carry against the Bills, like the first drive, it was all Mahomes runs because he got pressured and then just ran away and shook it. And that is my only fear for Joe Burrow in the coming years when he's playing against Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, just because those guys are just more athletic. So
Connor, going back to your injury with this ankle where you tore 3 ligaments, last year Joe Burrow had one of the worst to his knee. He tore 2 ligaments and a meniscus, and his recovery has been great. But he used to scramble that too. Probably, could have helped him. Definitely part of his game that he has to sharpen up. Not that he has a ton of, but one big thing, like you talk about, like deficits in his game, he's not getting the ball in the end zone. They're making their kicker turn into,
Justin Tucker.
Yeah, they're essentially turning him into Justin Tucker, and he's great. But guess what? When you're talking about that against the Chiefs, no, you need touchdowns, and he's not getting the ball in the end zone. He's moving it a ton, but you just can't do that against.
So Ken, are you taking the Chiefs? You haven't given us your side yet.
So I will be taking the Chiefs. Mainly because you guys picked the Bengals and I wanted to choose something different. But
I respect it.
Well, a few things. One, I put a lot of futures on the Chiefs. I really like the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl. And I cannot root for one team to cover and the other team to win. Just difficult. And Phil, statistically, That doesn't happen very often in the NFL, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Do you know why? Because most lines aren't a touchdown. Most lines are like 4 or less. So it's really hard.
Well, I really don't want to be rooting for Joe Burrow, but really like want him to like lose, but like not by that much. So, but
So when the Bengals pull the cover, Ken's gonna have a big old button on his chest saying, "I believe in Joe Burrow."
All right, Kim, I'm gonna look that up this
if
week.
I didn't have to make a pick, I wouldn't. This is that game for me. But the Bengals kill man coverage. The Chiefs play man coverage more than anybody. It really comes down to can the Chiefs get after him, get enough sacks, and hold him to field goals, because you're counting by 3 against Mahomes, get 3 in 13 seconds, just not enough. It won't be enough. It can really easily be a double-digit win here.
Newell doesn't seriously blitz them and play zone. He plays man. He's going to turn him back into scoring. Seriously, go watch those games. Tennessee, Raiders, they blitzed him, but they also played zone. They let him make the plays underneath. They let him move the ball up the field, and they bent, but they didn't break.
Yep.
Jamar Chase had 266 yards because they played not only man, mixed in press man. And then they would open up and they say, all right, fine, he beat us on press man. Then they give him 10 yards. And then the first drive of the game, second drive of the game, when Joe Burrow sent it to Chase, and Chase, the dude was playing 10 yards off, took a slant, went yards. Like, just play zone. Play zone. Don't even try. Just play zone. You can blitz all you want because Spags love to blitz. Play zone behind it.
All right. The only thing I have to add on this game, I have Cincinnati +7, but the only caveat for me is Chris Jones for the Chiefs front. I know you just said blitz and play zone, but if you can play cover 2 or 2-man, so you got your 2 deep safeties, man underneath, and you're rushing 4, and you can have Chris Jones completely wreck the game from inside the pocket like an Aaron Donald style, I think that's game. I don't think the Bengals have any answer to it because of their O-line, as you said earlier.
Don't forget about Melvin Ingram and killing it.
Melvin Ingram and Frank Clark are good, but I think Chris Jones is the difference maker is my point.
Disagree with either of you. My point is, Agnulo loves to blitz. So remember how we said people just like to do things that they said, hey, this is what we do?
Todd Bowles.
Arrogant coaches in the NFL just they're gonna be arrogant. Coaches are gonna coach. So they're gonna blitz because that's what we do, and then Dak Prescott's gonna take 14 seconds, the same amount of time that Mahomes took to, go 60 yards and get a field goal. Dak's gonna dolly around back there and then fall on the ground and then blame the refs and everybody else.
All right.
Just real quick, I really hate that comparison. You play a lot different when you have timeouts. I'm just saying it doesn't make them any more right.
Yes.
All right, real quick. I just want to ask this. From a defensive standpoint, in that Chiefs-Bills game, we were probably going to talk about it in like 15, 20 minutes when we get done with the next one. But anyways, that last 13 seconds, how would you guys play defense? Because if you look at the Bills, they sat 15 to 20 yards off the line of scrimmage with their linebackers, and then their safeties were like 30, 40, preventing a big play. But I'm like, why would you do that when you have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce? You're just leaving holes open for them to just run into.
So real quick, I've been thinking about this one a lot, looked up rules and to see if it's okay. You play 4 deep, you take 1 cornerback, and you straight tackle Tyreek Hill at the line of scrimmage. You hold him down, don't let him move, and then let the rest of the game play out.
Ravens did that. They did it on a punt once too, but they also did our DBs are going to tackle your wide receivers 3 times in a row and then force you to throw a Hail Mary.
You can only tackle 1 person if there are 2 intentional penalties on the same team. That time does not come off the clock.
Really? Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
No, I had to look it up. But You can do it one to one person. You definitely do it to Tyreek Hill. Play 4 deep, and then keep. You don't drop 20 yards back.
Don't let Travis Kelce run on the seam where he lives. Anyways, Connor, your thoughts on the defense they played? Because I thought it was a mistake.
Well, if you're not Mike Rabel or Bill Belichick, and apparently Ken Call looking up Rule 175A-4, then you just don't play 20 yards off. They played prevent. They played Hail Mary defense with 13 seconds left.
And 3 timeouts, the important part.
So you can play deeper, but at a minimum, you have to at least have your corners up or linebackers up around 6 or 7 yards. They got 20 yards on the first play in 3 or 4 seconds just because they refused to be up and make him make a move. Literally just took the ball and ran great. Turned around and ran great.
I don't think that was the play call either. I think that was they lined up and Mahomes, Kelce, Hill, they looked like, run a screen real quick. Like, why wouldn't we?
I think yes, and I think no, but I think that's also. I just think that's the coaching of Andy Reid that says, "Hey, listen, like this is the framework that I want you to think in," and he has conditioned Mahomes to see things like that, and then he probably literally looked over and said, "Tyreek, you're uncovered. Look when I snap the ball." Do that. I've seen them do that in multiple situations. Brady does it too. All the best ones do it. Mahomes was conditioned to think that way. Okay, there you go. Done.
So a few things there. Right before the play to Kelce, Mahomes in the middle of his call cadence goes, Kelce, do it, go. I'm not kidding. But no one's giving Andy Reid any credit here. He's been notorious for destroying the clock. I know it was a lot on Mahomes. A lot easier when you have timeouts, but the fact that Andy Reid still had those timeouts and didn't screw up the clock is really good for him. We're going to go back to the Bengals-Chiefs game where they wasted 6 minutes and a 2-minute drill on the 1-yard line. But I was impressed there with Andy Reid. Also at 8:15, you compared me to Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick, Connor, and I'm going to write that down.
Do you see that picture on the wall?
That's what I heard.
Keep the context.
No. I got it here. You said Vrabel, Belichick, me.
Rule bender.
All right, so that picture is going to be gone. It's going to be a picture of you with like 8:15 and your quote right at the bottom, Connor. That's going to be behind Ken from now on.
I'm going to have a button of me, Bill Belichick, and Vrabel.
Guys, I'm telling you, we're missing out. The button game. Why are we recording podcasts when we could be selling buttons? All right, let's go on to the next game. San Fran versus the Rams. This is the 3rd week of the playoffs in a row where we are all on San Fran. We all knew it coming into the playoffs. I was the one that said they're going to win the Super Bowl. That pick is looking way better than I thought it would. I thought they'd be dead against Green Bay. But they're 3.5-point underdogs against the Rams. And Kyle Shanahan, in the last 3 years, is 6-0, I think, against Sean McVay. I love San Fran so much in this because they just match up so well. Ken, you can go first and tell us why you have San Fran.
So just real quick on the Green Bay game. No teams with a bottom 10 special teams throughout the year ever made it to the Super Bowl.
All right, Bucky Brooks. Did you? So Bucky Brooks put out this Twitter thread of what we learned from like the current 4 teams in the championship round, and it's like saying, "Oh, you can only do this. You have to have this." And then someone responded with a picture of Blake Bortles, Nick Foles, Case Keenum, and Tom Brady, and said, "Yeah, this championship round said you didn't need a quarterback to make it this far."
Well, so the only thing I got to say about the 49ers is I would have had the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. Well, I did Buccaneers. Or I'm sorry, the Packers. The Cowboys and the Packers would have beat the Rams. 49ers beat them both. Shanahan versus McShay. I'm sorry. It's just dad versus son on this one. He just owned him. I don't think that changed.
Connor?
You guys just have me so worried. Like, I just
Is it because we agree with you?
just because. Listen, I'm very superstitious. You guys are all in the analytics and 6-0 and stat.
Okay, all
Well,
right. I'll get to why I said 6-0. You go, though.
here we go, and then all of a sudden the universe is going to say, 6-0 that, Phil. Then he's going to get blown out, and now we're going to sit here and be like, well, it's because we all agreed. You've seen them, the Monday Night Football like jokes where all the Monday Night Football guys who pick them, they flash it up on the screen, and then all of them pick it, and then it flips, and then they're like, oh, wow, it's probably because we all picked Green Bay, and every single one of us was wrong because across the screen it says G, 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 and nobody picks San Francisco, and then San Francisco wins. That's what's going to happen.
We've been doing it all playoffs, man.
Luck is going to stop, Ken, and we're going to be holding the bag.
All right. So listen.
I don't see how this happens. Now, okay, I do see how this happens because they do match up extremely well. I just think that I'm worried because Aaron Donald and Von Miller was the highest graded pass rusher last. Von Miller is back. He's been back for this whole playoffs, so that worries me. But I will say, you got Nick Bosa on the other side. That helps. Stafford hasn't been Stafford. Been good. And so I'm like almost talking my way into picking LA here, but 3.5 is too much. I would pick San Francisco because of the spread. I don't think they win out. They're less likely to win outright, but I think they also make.
It's crazy that if a team's getting points, you think they're less likely to win outright than they are to cover the spread. It's just, when you give them free points, you think that would help them.
Yeah.
But more importantly, so, couple things. One, Stafford's been good. I'm not going to say it, so I'm just going to say Stafford's been good. Two, Jimmy G's been bad. He started off last game good, but his receivers said, we don't know who this guy is, and they just smacked all the balls on the ground. Like, George Kittle had like a 40-yard catch that he dropped. Juwan Jennings had a drive killer, and then Jimmy G went back to being Jimmy G after that and throwing terrible passes. So, as long as he can rebound. But most importantly here, I love the graphic when they show Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, and Matt LaFleur all on the Redskins. Because Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator, and he is smarter and better than the other two. They're like baby brothers. I brought this up. I don't know what game I picked this for last week, but baby brother syndrome happening again. Kyle Shanahan, is willing to adopt his scheme to match his opponent better than anyone. Sean McVay isn't willing to do that. And Kyle Shanahan knows Sean McVay's scheme. I think that's why the 6-0 I mentioned is actually important. Because Shanahan can be like, hey, defensive front, this is how they're going to block you. I know, because that's what we do. We're going to switch it up. They won't, because McVay can't make adjustments. That's why he lost the Super Bowl. And then, as for the Rams pass rush, which is most of their defense, Jalen Ramsey's useless in this game because he can't take away one receiver, and it mean a lot to San Fran. Like, he can take away Kittle or Ayuk, but Debo's their guy running the... He can't take away Debo. Debo's got that Cooper Kupp syndrome where they move him around too much. You can't have Ramsey follow him, or at least they won't. So I think the Rams pass rush is neutralized. I think Ramsey's neutralized. Their defense is going to be weaker then. All we need is 49ers defense to continue playing well against the Rams. That's risky. Huh?
How's it neutralized? Tell me how their defensive line is neutral.
They're going to run the ball against them. That's how they've killed it. Every time. They've run right.
Not play.
Huh?
Williams is hurt. He may not play.
Don't say that. No.
Shanahan said, quote, Trent Williams told me he's going to play, so I'm just going to go with what he said. He's going to play.
I love Shanahan. Is Jimmy Garoppolo your quarterback? I suppose. Is
Yes,
Trent Williams
he
going to
is.
play? Maybe. He said so.
Oh,
All right, if Trent Williams is out, that is a big difference maker in the run game. But I
he's gonna play.
also believe in them enough that they will run the ball, be creative, and as long as Aaron Donald doesn't completely wreck Jimmy G, as I said Chris Jones might in the Chiefs game, I am huge on San Fran. Most importantly, like I said, because Kyle Shanahan knows what his little brother's going to do over and over again, and he's going to make him look stupid. Once more.
So real quick, in terms of setting a line, I know you already talked about home versus away in that adjustment.
Yeah.
How do they put into the fact that this is going to be a neutral site, essentially?
Yeah. So, like I said, it's about 3 points, but adjust based on team. So, in this case, rather than being 3, it might be like 1.5 for LA. I don't know the actual number that Vegas uses, though. But Ken, the floor is all yours to share your thoughts on San Fran. I don't know if you've done that yet.
I mentioned a little, but the main thing is it's the San Francisco run game. Also, the 49ers defense has been amazing recently. I mean, their pass rush has been just a step behind the Rams, and the Rams, I mean, like you're saying, Von Miller, Aaron Donald, they're just completely killing it. But the defense has been doing way better. I mean, it really is. It's stop Cooper or don't stop them. You just slow them down a bit. But they've been winning, and they haven't needed to have Jimmy G do anything. Like there's a chance that they win, and Jimmy G throws 170 yards.
You guys, I can't believe you guys even Browns. You guys aren't even Browns. We've been talking about the most important player in the NFL. And no, we haven't said the most important player in the NFL. His name is 3 letters, O-J. And you guys haven't said one thing about him. One, the Browns' savior. And you guys haven't said a word.
I picked the 49ers, that's why.
Connor, shut up.
But so 49ers, the OBJ, that was his first game, right? The very first meeting these two teams had. I honestly think OBJ can be a huge deal in this game because Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, right? They run in the middle of the field, in between the numbers. San Fran has terrible outside corners, and one-on-one, Odell, I don't think they throw it to him enough. They're not going to go 15 targets, Odell, you go win this game. But 7 targets, there's no reason he can't catch like a huge, field flopping, goal line, get the ball to the goal line kind of play. They tried to throw it to him in the very first drive. I don't know if you remember, it got picked off, and then Odell ran over and yelled at Stafford.
Okay, guys, you haven't said it. I'm just going to say it. The 49ers pass rush has been killing it. I think they make Stafford make a mistake. There's a sack, a fumble, pick. I don't care. I know, probably shouldn't say it, but you guys were both thinking it.
We were, but we've said it the last 2 weeks, and he's decided to.
This is what I'm doing with my pick now.
You're trying
Thanks,
to be like, hey, we're just trying to speak it not into existence. We're doing the opposite. We're trying to silence it into existence.
Exactly. We weren't going to talk about Stafford because then he was going to have a bad game. I'm done. Rams winning by 40, maybe 50 now.
Superstition.
I said I have the 49ers. My money's on the 49ers, but I just have to go and cry now if Stafford doesn't make any mistakes. All right. So that covers our picks for this week. I just want to remind everyone that Connor's Super Bowl was Green Bay versus Buffalo. His sleeper pick was Cincinnati, so that's alive. Ken had Green Bay versus Kansas City, and Kansas City winning, so that's alive. I'm the only person with both teams out there still. San Fran, KC, and the winner is San Fran, so I'm still regretting that pick. We'll see. We'll see, though, because, at plus 20,000 odds or whatever it was, it's still money. All right, so looks like it's getting pretty late already. Do you guys want to talk about what Chiefs versus Bills could mean for the rest of the league, or you just want to move on with your life? I don't know. You guys have other things to do.
Let's overreact.
Let's overreact real quick. All right. So, I of course watch the PFF podcast. One of the people with models that I actually trust because I know how they create their model. But they said this means, you know that Liberty quarterback you mentioned early in the year, Connor? I can't remember his name.
Willis. It's Malik Willis.
Malik Willis. They said that game could make him a top 5-8 pick. They didn't say it, but it was implied. They said he could jump Kenny Pickett now just because you need a freak athlete, and he shows similar signs to what Mahomes and Allen did in college, a.k.a. when I do something, it is really cool. The 80% of the time, though, where I just have to check down, I suck. So
I won't do that.
It's like, why do that when I can, throw a Hail Mary? But that was their argument, that one, it's going to change how people draft the league. I think it could completely change the view of Aaron Rodgers if he begs for a trade, because I think teams, especially in the AFC, such as the Broncos, obvious one, will be like, we need him because we have to get through these elite quarterbacks. And then I think it also, I don't think it changes Tom Brady's opinion, because I think if he comes back, he lives in Tampa Bay, and you don't have to go through those guys. So, just random thoughts I had. Either one of you, you're welcome to take the floor. All right, Connor.
Go ahead, Ken.
So I think this is all about the world overreaction. Once again, in Cleveland Browns world, all of my groups were just blown up with I'm glad we didn't make the playoffs because we need a new quarterback now. It went from like, oh no, we got to trust Baker to that's it, we need somebody. And I'm sure a lot of different places are thinking that. I don't want to get into like the head coaching thing, the offensive coordinator from Green Bay going to Denver, but
that's for the offseason.
Okay, good. But I think that we're in the world of overreaction. We were a bad interception away from Tannehill being in the conference championship instead of Joe Burrow. But what I really think might actually happen is they might actually look at the overtime rules and change them, because it's true. Every single person, as soon as the Bills lost that coin flip, we're like, well, the game's over, and they were right. So there is no perfect. I don't have a perfect answer for you right now. I know that there's a bunch of things going around. All I know is I want to see both teams with the ball. That's all I got.
All right, real quick. I got to bring this up because I thought it was the stupidest suggestion ever. So, Nick Wright said, what if in overtime the home or the away team says one team gets to pick where the ball goes, the other team gets to choose what side of the ball they're on, offense or defense. So if I'm the Chiefs, I would say put the ball at the 49-yard line, and Bills would pick offense or defense. Now, I just think that's super stupid, because like if you put the ball anywhere short of, like, if you have Patrick Mahomes, what? You saw 13 seconds, he gained 40 yards and kicked a field goal to win a game. It's like, all right, fine. Give me the ball on, like, your 10-yard line. We're still going to score a touchdown. It doesn't matter.
Your only chance, put it on the 1-yard line.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Like, otherwise, I'm taking the ball.
I saw that too, and I think that's stupid.
Yeah, sorry. I just had to chime in with that. Connor, you can go ahead with your reactions to last week.
I don't think it does anything. I think everybody knows that the NFL is changing. I don't think in terms of you're going to sunset quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and late Ben Roethlisberger. You're going to pick the Malik Willises and the Trey Lances of the world. You're going to find a Mac Jones. You're going to find a Joe Burrow, which, by the way, you're going to find a Joe Burrow. Mac Jones, jury's still out. I think he still has the opportunity to get canned because McDaniels is leaving. And even if he doesn't leave, I mean, I still think that Mac Jones may be overrated, so let's not overreact there. We're going to have some sort of flair at the quarterback with an athlete. It's just what the league is moving to. I don't think you have to try harder to find the diamond in the rough. I haven't seen anything on this Malik. I I saw he played one game this year against the SEC, got crapped on. So he threw for a bunch of yards, but he threw for a bunch of picks too. But he's an athlete. So they say, oh, Trey Lance. Well, it's going to change the fact that GMs are going to be looking for that guy first rather than a guy like a Kenny Pickett or those two are that right there is the reason why those guys aren't. This is considered one of the worst QB drafts in the last like 5 years because they're not all that mobile. Sam Howell's more mobile, which is the North Carolina quarterback, but got a bunch of question marks too. No slam dunks in this draft. If you're bottom tier, middle, even if you're a middle to bottom tier, you don't have somebody that can either light it up like a Mahomes or a Herbert or something like that, or a Rodgers if he goes to Denver, somebody that can light it up like that, then you're going to waste your time and you're back to bottom. Guys like Derek Carr, you're going to sunset him. You can only do so much. You will not, or very rarely, win a Super Bowl or advance very far without them. But I think the league was already there. The league was already going. Justin Fields. Trevor Lawrence has athleticism. Who else? Who was the other top? Trey Lance, super athletic. I don't think those were your top guys. So I don't think it really changes a whole lot. I do think, side note, it would be very stupid for Aaron Rodgers to go to Denver. Carry down.
I completely agree. I don't know if we want to talk about that. We can do that another time. Talk about where people are actually going to end up. But
the only thing I didn't like about what you said, Connor, is you just compared other quarterbacks to Joe Burrow, and he is a one-of-a-kind player. I'm sorry.
God, I know, you're getting a button.
It wasn't being sarcastic. Just like him coming out, like I don't like comparing him to like other like pocket passers.
So
he is
another level.
Far and away more cerebral than any. He's got more Tom Brady than him. I hate hearing all these Mac Jones comparisons of Tom Brady just because he played for the Patriots. So stupid.
And he's unathletic and white.
He's more athletic than Tom Brady was, but he's just as cerebral. And to your point, watch either of the playoff games that he had at LSU. He had 2 games where he had like 400 yards and 500 yards against top A and top A1, basically defenses in college at that time. And he was able, I remember this one throw he got out. You probably remember it too. Second play or blitz play, he got out of it, scrambled to his right, and launched like a 60-yard bomb. Chase or Jefferson. That was where it was, okay, he is mobile enough and elusive enough to be Big Ben-ish when Big Ben was in his prime. He'll get you 7 to 8 yards, make a decision, make it quickly, get out of trouble.
Yeah. The only thing I put against Joe Burrow in college was that he is throwing to 2 top 5 NFL wide receivers at the time. Like, could you imagine, like, I know it sounds bad, but could you imagine grading a quarterback and saying, all right, given that we know Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are unstoppable at the NFL level, like, why could we grade this guy on a fair curve when we see people like Dwayne Haskins throwing, perfect dimes to people that can't be covered? So I think Joe Burrow is an anomaly, and you have to give him the credit because he was absolutely phenomenal in college, turned out to be phenomenal in the NFL. But back to our point of where the NFL is moving. If you like you said, when we have Pickett and Liberty guy, man, I feel so bad for forgetting his name.
Malik. Holy cow.
No, what's his last name?
Willis.
Okay, Willis. All right. My bad. I knew Malik. But when you have Willis, I feel bad. I don't know why. Anyways, when you have Willis and you have Pickett, it's got to be you lean to the more athletic in hope, not even in hopes, but like they have an alternative route to success that Pickett won't have, where it's he can move and throw compared to he can just sit in the pocket and be excellent. AKA, it's harder to find Drew Brees, Tom Brady than it is to find Patrick Mahomes. Ooh, man, that was a bad statement. I withdraw that immediately.
Justin Fields. You're talking about Justin Fields.
Yeah, so it's easier to find a Lamar Jackson. No, well, the problem is the players right now are so unique, right? They have such unique skill sets. The whole point is it's easier to find someone that can move and throw than it is to find someone who is 99th percentile smart, sits in the pocket, and throws. Because they have one avenue to success. If it doesn't work, they're screwed. Like Baker Mayfield.
So real quick, if these two players are on your team, who do you start and give a chance to? Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew?
All right.
Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts. Even though Minshew does have a little bit of mobility. Jalen Hurts.
I think it depends on my offensive line. But no, even the Eagles have the best offensive line in the world, and they just say rather than use it to pass, protect, rerun. I think I have to go Jalen Hurts. But if I have Gardner Minshew and Baker Mayfield, I choose Gardner Minshew.
Hey, I'm pretty sure he was like number 2 on the list behind Jimmy.
By the way, can we also, while we're talking about buttons before we end, can we give another button to Kyle Shanahan? We've pumped him up all year. We said he's a boy genius. And I've especially picked him throughout the playoffs. I know I did it at the beginning as like just to be different. But the fact that all he needed was a Jimmy G level quarterback and he makes the Super Bowl. Well, NFC Championship. So in each of Jimmy
horses there, big dog.
All right, in each of Jimmy G's 2 healthy seasons, he's made it to the NFC Championship. And then the other random fact that's cool is Chiefs are the very first team ever to host 4 straight AFC championships. Patriots didn't do it. They didn't host it. They were at 10 straight, but they didn't host 4. Yeah.
One sounds better than the other, man.
They'll get to their 9 or 10. All right. So just a reminder, we're all riding with San Fran. Ken's the outlaw, picking KC, while Connor and I have our Joe Burrow buttons on. Thank you for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe. Give us your questions. We are happy to dig into them, just like we did with Nate's question on Derrick Henry. Adios, amigos.
Hey, fellas.